large weight was lifted from my shoulders tonight. I have been trudging through the hard life, waiting for to hit the fan. I have been living in fear of the rug being pulled out from underneath me again. Life has brought many challenges over the past 10 years, leaving me feeling like I was living under a heavy weight of doom and gloom. I stopped myself at work today. I found myself thinking, this is hard. I have to go back and see that patient and I have to walk through this large building. I'm still figuring out how to get where I'm going. I stopped myself and I said, wait a minute. This is not hard. I can do this. They are paying me good money to be here and to help them. I can sit in the comfortable building and walk these pretty halls in this palace with a laptop that makes it easy for me to do my paperwork. I know how to be an occupational therapist and how to work with a variety of people in a variety of conditions and living situations. I know how to read through weeks of notes and write a progress report with one visit with the person. I can do this. I can enjoy this. This is the good life. I am living the good life. I can decide how many hours I am working for these companies each week. I can decide how much time I am spending writing. I can decide how much time Don and I are spending growing our business and creating videos and podcasts and expanding our program. I can decide how I spend my time. It can be easy. It really can. I have removed myself from the drama of the hard job. I work PRN as needed and on my terms. I get to say, yes, I can work, and no, I cannot work. I decide. Don and I can present our introductory workshop to multiple places and people and gain more and more clients. Life can be that easy. I can enjoy what I do, fully enjoy helping people without all the drama, free of the drama of the healthcare, sick care system. I am choosing a new path. I can work in healthcare and stay out of the drama. I can go in and do my work and leave work at work. I can then go home and get on with my life and my other endeavors and other pursuits. I can work for my employers and do the work and come home and have plenty of time for the rest of my life. Time to grow a thriving business with Don, helping families, empowering families to support their children and be better versions of themselves and improve their communication skills and their relationships and their lives. I can bring to other families what Don and I have brought to our family. I can. I am. I am Gina. Hear me roar. I am a writer. I am a mother. I am an occupational therapist. I am a facilitator and a coach. I am a partner, a wife, and a friend. I am Gina. I am creating my life. I am.
Well, hello, this is Don.
And this is Gina with Focused Healthy Family.
And this is podcast number 104. And today we're talking about feelings versus actions. But before we get too far into it, let's just take a moment for our sponsor.
Our sponsor is Q Sciences. I've been a representative for Q Sciences for over a year. I found this company through a friend and did some research and reading about these products. And I really liked what I found when I learned about them, the research and time that they've put into the quality of these products to be better absorbed into the body. Things like the vitamin D spray. Our youngest was on a capsule vitamin D, and yet vitamin D levels remained the same with follow-up checkups. And with the spray, it increased.
Pretty strong.
Almost double.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're talking her levels were maybe 20, and I want to say they went up to 47 or something around that range. And the sleep spray is another great one. It's got melatonin, 5-HTP, and I believe another herbal supplement in there. And because it's a spray, you spray it on your tongue, it gets absorbed more quickly into your body to be more effective to help you in the moment. we're using the B12 spray. We've used the vitamin C spray. They have a Q Max product, which is a multivitamin.
And they also have the CBD, different, a variety of different.
It's full spectrum
full
hemp
spectrum, yes.
oils. They even have a THC free version. It comes in different flavors. There is a mushroom
Oh yeah.
armor. It's called Q Armor. It's a powder, and I get the chai flavor. Put it in my chai tea for a double chai drink.
So instead of, as they say, flushing your supplements down, well, the toilet or the drain, you want to get something like this that's fully absorbed. It's like flushing money down the toilet too, if you're not using a supplement that absorbs well and does well for your body. So that's what Q Science is really about. It's a good, well absorbed, high nutrient product.
They have multiple products. They have child specific products. They now also have some facial cream products. I've been using a night cream to minimize the effects of sunlight and stress and aging on my skin. And they have a hemp lotion. That's also a wonderful product that we've tried. So check us out, learn more. You can find the link at our website,
www.focusedhealthyfamily.com. You can also go to focusedhealthyfamily.com/Q Sciences, the letter Q and Sciences.
with an S at the end.
With the S at the end, yes.
And we're back. And today I read a blog post that I wrote back in June of 2018. What I had entitled it was Pulling the Rug Out from Under Me and Becoming Who I Am, which is interesting as I reflect back on it, because now it feels more like a choosing how I feel, making a decision, how I'm going to respond to a situation. And so that's what we were going to plan to delve into here today is,
Have you?
do we choose how we feel? Do we decide?
Well, I was kind of curious on your title, Pulling the Rug Out from Under Me. Was that you pulling your own rug out of underneath yourself with the idea that, wait a minute, it doesn't have to be hard. That rug was the hard rug, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah, it was more of a, I took a moment and I stopped.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? Why am I saying this is hard? What am I creating here?
More hard.
And I think I remember that moment too. It was like, okay, so I have to do a lot of walking. I'm getting paid to walk all over this building. I get to be here. I get to decide.
Getting exercise too. Yeah.
And I'm capable of this. I'm an experienced and competent occupational therapist. I can do this job. I can get things done. And I can have other time. It's very powerful to read that now, because since we've moved, I have a longer commute from 15 to 20 minutes. Now it's like 45 minutes to almost an hour sometimes. And so there's that hardness. And yet I know that I can, I've got time to just be by myself. I can listen to podcasts. I can listen to books. I can listen to music. Can choose how I spend my commuting time now. So,
well, I liked how you said good life in there. Because this morning I was listening to my favorite, which is Abraham Hicks, but she talked about how we have to really feel the life we have is good. She kind of even brought, that's why it's interesting you brought that into there, but that we have to just be able to look around and know that it's all good, that we're in a good life. And as I sat there, I was thinking about, because she goes through this, we tend to want to count cars and money and how many the houses or whatever that we have,
things
and I started thinking about it. It's like, it's really, when I look around, we have a neat house, we have a neat family. We got so much stuff to appreciate. Anyway, just that was interesting. The good life. I like that.
Tying things together. We found some interesting articles that kind of jump right into these ideas, emotions versus feelings versus behavior, reacting versus responding. And can other people make us feel something?
Yeah, it's hard to convince even our kids that they have a choice when they and when you talk about responding, that's something over the last couple of years that in working with my the clients and patients that I work with, that one of the big kind of philosophies I think about life, actually, life, one of the key components of it is how you respond to life itself, but how you respond to anybody makes that huge difference. And so to me, it's vital that we learn how to respond to best help us, help ourselves, I guess.
Did you find an article that I conveniently shared with you?
well, I like this. And you showed a Psychology Today that's called Choose Your Feelings.
And the author is?
Yeah, I was going to get to that. A little hangry today. Shahram Heshmet, PhD. So Dr. Shahram.
We'll put that in the notes.
Yes. But one of the lines that caught me the most in this highlighted was this line. It says, emotions typically occur with appraisal, and then in parentheses it says evaluations of events that tell us how significant the events are in relation to our goals. And I thought that was really powerful because that's really true. We respond based on how much it affects us and affects what our path in life or the direction we want to go, all of that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of an example of that.
Yeah, I was trying to think of that myself even today, kind of show the kids or show people what difference it makes. But I guess it could, I don't know if this would be a good example, but what comes to mind, and I don't know if this is right or not, but even a car accident, different people respond differently to it. Those that are involved in it take it with agony or suffering or whatever, whereas a passerby sees that same accident and wants to, almost sometimes gets excited about it. It's a weird, everybody responds
I have
differently.
the thought of, I'm glad I didn't leave 5 minutes sooner.
Yeah,
that could have been me in the accident.
So we're not taking it with the panic or the suffering or the pain of it. We're taking it very differently. That's one example. Because in this kind of goes on. It talks about the reason that happens is because we have subjective interpretation rather than just seeing the facts or the event itself. So it's because of that subjective part that we were able to evaluate it based on our goals.
Well, and if your goal is to get somewhere on time and how this accident is slowing you down, you could have a different reaction to that, and different emotions can arise based on that.
So, and it was interesting. I think I've mentioned this before we got on, that before I even read these articles, I kind of sat down and thought about response versus reaction, and kind of what a response really, what's the path of the response, or how do we get there? And so I wrote down, and I actually made a circular chart with it. The first thing that happens is I put situation, but they talk about event either way. And then what I put next was it leads to you allowing to take it in, either take it in or not take it in, or take it in, how you take it in all varies. And then I added in, since I read the article, an evaluation in between this and the next step, because once you take it in, you evaluate how it matches against your goal. And then I put choice. We then have to choose what emotion or feeling we're going to feel based on that situation and how we've taken it in. And then we choose a response. We make the response, and it's circular. It goes back to then that kind of leads to another event.
And that exactly describes my process on that day when I was at work and the patient wasn't available. And I found myself going, I have to go back and try to see this person again. I have to walk these halls. So that was my situation, that I had a lot more to do with that day. And I allowed, allow the feelings, I'm feeling like this is hard, this is difficult. And then I quickly evaluated that. And I'm like, is this really hard? Is this really difficult? Am I going to make this drudgery? And I chose to see the beauty in it. I chose to experience that I can do this and that this is fun, that I can enjoy this. And it is not the hard that I was labeling it with. And so my response was, I embraced myself in my day and went about my day with more energy and more comfort, more confidence.
Well, and then it, like I said, it leads to a situation. You went and did the thing, but it also lifted that situation up to a different level because you went in with a whole different.
And I'm sure I was a more effective therapist for the next patient when I lifted myself up to that level and made that choice. I found an interesting article. It's from Life in Color. And I don't have the exact name of the person who wrote this, but they referenced Susan David's book. And they talked about some other things they've written. And they said a key question that came up was, how much influence or control do I have over my emotions? How much influence or control do I have over my emotions? And they quote Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist who survived a Nazi death camp, and went on to write Man's Search for Meaning. He believed the following: between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. So it reminds me of the circle you created. And for most of us, and I'm quoting from this article, when it comes to our emotions, we struggle to find that space between stimulus and response. We're quick to react. Something happens and we're angry, we're mad, we get fearful, we go into alert, we feel miserable, shame, we withdraw. And these emotions can kind of take over our experience. How we choose to respond to the emotions we feel within the circle of control. And then they talk about Susan David's book, Emotional Agility, which is subtitled Emotional Agility, Get Unstuck, Embrace Change, and Thrive in Work and Life. And Susan David, renowned Harvard Medical School psychologist, suggests that often our emotions can hook us and leave us dangling like a fish on a line. She goes on to lay out a framework of learning how to control our emotions, thoughts, and feelings. And they present this outline. So showing up for your emotions. So to me, I see that as recognizing, okay, I'm mad right now. That's what I'm feeling. Mm-hmm. I'm feeling mad, accepting the feelings that you're having. It takes also catching yourself when you're in that place and like, okay, I'm really angry right now. This is what I'm feeling. And then being able to step out of your emotions, to realize that the emotion is really just data and not a directive. What's the purpose or function? What is this emotion telling me? You touch a hot stove. It's hot. It feels awful. What's it telling you? Take your hand off the stove. We can keep our hand on there and continue to experience burning. We could stay in the mess or we can step out. And I had written out some different ways of stepping out when you're really lost in an emotion, feeling maybe stuck in it. You have to catch it. You recognize what you're feeling. You say it out loud. This is what I'm feeling. And then decide what you're going to do. And sometimes it helps, in order to step back from that feeling, is to change our position, our body position. We're sitting down, we stand up, we walk up the stairs. We well, I had another thought before we get into changing it, but if you're really stuck in the emotion, you could also make a choice to rant about it, but set a timer. Set the 5-minute timer. I'm just going to whine about this, and then I can move forward. So once you're able to decide to shift, or maybe you just say, I'm not feeling this, and you just do something new. You take a drink of water. You step outside.
Speaking of that.
You just get up and move your body around. You stop and just focus on something that you're hearing. Or a taste. Maybe a piece of chocolate, but you really taste it. Put it in your mouth and really focus on that sensation for a moment. Just to give yourself a little bit of space, that space that they talk about between the trigger, the event that happens, and your response to it. So once you can shift that energy, you can reflect back on how you felt about it, and you can make choices from there. Getting back to her outline, so noticing what you're thinking about. And then it says, walk your why. How are the emotions or thoughts connected to your core values? To what is it truly important to you? How can you respond to your thoughts and emotions in ways that are deeply aligned to your values, which is exactly what they said in that other article.
Mm-hmm.
And how might you step towards the values rather than away from them? So
it's that addressing, facing it, noticing it.
Again, as I was writing about the time at work where I had that realization, what are my values? I value time with my family. I value helping people. I can choose to go to work and feel good about it rather than coming home and feeling drained and exhausted and tired. And this is so hard. Why I have to keep doing this? Is that really aligning with my values? If I value caring for people.
I want to throw a thought out there just to kind of get your response on it. You talk about the different the step away and things to do. To me, there kind of almost needs to be somewhat of a balance there, though, too, of not always distracting from it. I think one point you put in there is about kind of looking at it, thinking through it, working through it, kind of thing, too.
Yeah, I think what I was referring to is if you're just feeling really stuck in the feeling, like, okay, how can I shift my energy a minute?
Yeah.
Maybe you step outside and you realize you're angry, and it just, when you feel stuck, everything's stagnant. There's no movement going on. There's no new thought. And physically, your body's often stuck. And so that's where just shifting a little bit. Maybe you're still angry about what happened or upset or whatever you're feeling, but you shift that energy just enough to be able to walk through it some more. So it's not really distracting yourself from what you're feeling. It's giving yourself some space to recognize it and to even delve into it further.
When I think that delving into is kind of depends on if this is a reoccurring feeling, that this, like the hard thing you talked about.
Well,
has that been something
looking
that
back at the situation, what's the trigger here?
Yeah.
What is happening that's leading me to this feeling? Can I do something about that situation? Can I change some part of that experience? And again, from the outline from Susan David's book, Emotional Agility. So you were showing up for your emotions, you're stepping out of your emotions, you're walking your why, and then moving on. How could you develop and implement values, aligned habits, and strategies which will help you to build resilience and manage difficult emotions more effectively in the future? How will you step up and embrace challenging situations rather than seek to avoid them? And so have real world practice in building emotional resilience.
Well, what's interesting too about this is because one of the things I talk to clients about is that we can't change anybody, but through our own responses and our own energy, our own examples, we can influence others to make a change. I don't know if that's going off path with what we're talking about too much, but it just, as we're talking about all of this and how you respond can influence how the conversation's going to go, how other people uh, go through their situations. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
Sure. I mean, we have an effect on other people.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, can you make me feel sad?
No.
You say, you know what, I don't want to do that with you today. I want to go off and do something by myself. So you've said that to me, and maybe I'm experiencing sadness.
You've chosen to feel sad about it.
You know, our emotions do come through our body, and we decide what we do with them. We may have feelings, but we decide what we do with them, and the choices we make, the actions we take. I can say, oh, okay, you really rather do something, on your own. Well, that's an opportunity for me to go off and do something. Can we make plans another time to do something together? Because we make a lot of assumptions. Oh, he doesn't want to spend time with me. Oh, he doesn't really like me. But we can step into choosing. So maybe we both had a thought at the same time.
No, go ahead.
You can ask yourself when you're feeling something, are we blaming someone else for that feeling? Are we owning it? Are we saying, okay, when this happens, this is how I feel? And we often jump to reacting, but not really recognizing the feeling. Our kid does something that upsets us, and we just storm around the house and we slam a door, we go off and do something rather than going, when they make a mess on the floor, I feel really scattered and frustrated that now I have something else I have to do on my plate. So I'm upset that it's taking time for me.
Interrupted what I was doing, to have to stop and clean it up or whatever. Well, it kind of goes with what because I wrote down it, taking it personally. And I think that's one thing that affects our responses, is that how, and it goes into that allowing and evaluating part, how we take it in. And if we're taking it in and taking it deeply personal, what the other person is responding with, it can really hamper how we change how we respond, and not respond the best way possible.
React. Yeah, we react versus respond.
Yeah, because I think we tend to respond or react the way we think the other person wants us to, maybe.
Well, and I'm seeing a difference. When I say respond, we're choosing what we say and do. Reacting is that put your hand on a hot stove and you pull it back. It's that immediate knee-jerk reaction to what's happened versus, okay, I'm going to choose my response. I'm going to choose my actions here. Maybe we go, okay.
Yeah, it's that take that breath time.
That's find that space. And that's where maybe you need to just step away for a minute. You need to go get a drink of water, just give yourself that minute to be able to, because to me, that's the hard part, is having the situation happen, getting overwhelmed by the emotion, and being able to step back from it.
Yeah.
And otherwise, everything's going to go wrong today. Then everything does start to go wrong. You're entering things with anger, frustration, disappointment. And then you get on the road and everybody's messing with traffic, and somebody turns in front of you.
So it steps into the law of attraction then, because what you're putting out is what you're getting back then. And I think that's a very important point with how you respond, because what you put out in your response is what you're going to slowly get back to you.
And part of it's what we notice, what we pay attention to. Things can be going on around us, and we can see what we want to see out of it.
Yeah.
There's so many decisions that we have. So again, it's about choosing our responses, choosing our behavior, choosing what we're going to do about it. Even if we have a moment of just upset and we blow up, lose our temper, whatever. We have that moment of explosion, that reaction to something. Then we can breathe and go, okay, I'm feeling this. I'm experiencing this. Taking that minute to do that.
Well, that it plays in so strong with what we focus towards is towards helping parents. I think parents of this is kind of tough, but I mean, I think parents can be even more heavily involved in response and how important it is because
it matters. Their future matters. And are they going to get into college? Are they going to get a good job? And yeah, we put a lot of energy into their life. It becomes so enmeshed and important to us that we can almost throw ourselves into their stuff when rather than seeing the separateness, seeing that it's not all in our control.
Or if you look at the sandwich generation, they fear of are they my parents safe, and I've got to move quickly, and
I've got to take care of them.
Yeah,
I've got to fix everything for
responsibility.
them. I've got to make it better. If they would just listen to me, then things would be better. And along these lines, with all these different things we talked about, one thing, shifting energy.
Mm-hmm.
We're dealing with something, it's happening over and over. What can we do to help shift our energy, Don?
We can do tapping.
And all you have to do is
breathe and tap.
This stuff happens and I don't like it. I don't like what just happened. I'm angry.
And in truth, one of the things I've been really promoting in this is when you are really up there, 10 plus on a 1 to 10 scale of anxiety,
how much it's affecting you.
I tell people, first thing you want to do is do some breathing and just some tapping without even having to put words to it, to get yourself down to a place of where you can then start working on it. Because a lot of times when you are just amped up beyond whatever, the words can't come to you. And so it's, I think, best. I mean, you can hit one spot, you can hit just a couple spots.
If something happens, I'm stressed out, my kids, the situation I'm in, I can just rub.
Take that breath.
Put your fingers, if you're watching us on YouTube, put your hand at your collarbone. There's that little soft spot in there. You can rub there. You can tap right there. You can tap on the side of your hand. I'm using the outside of my hand against the palm of my hand, like a karate chop. There's a lot of different points where you can do to help bring yourself to some calm. And so that's something I'll often do when I'm in the middle of, when I'm having to stop myself from reacting to my children.
Well, we don't, I think as human beings, we don't like that quiet place of between when they've said something and expecting response. We don't like to wait for that quiet, which is what we need. We need that moment. That's why a lot of times I'll tell somebody, just express to them, hey, that was really powerful. I need a moment. And then, like I say, take your breath, maybe even do some tapping or rubbing, and give yourself that opportunity to have that moment so that you don't have the knee-jerk response. And you're able to, the mind works fast enough that you don't have to worry about not being able to come up with something, I believe. So I think it's very important. And I know you've used that. Kids, I need a moment. That was, I got to step away. And I think that can be very important. It's tough to do because, like I say, we hate that quiet place. We hate that. We believe everybody needs that response now, especially in the world we live in.
Yeah, I recently sent you a message. Our daughter's got a robotics competition. It's about 2 hours away from where we live. It's over a weekend when I typically work, trying to juggle going out there. And I sent you this idea. What if I drive out there Friday and I stay through Saturday, you come Saturday, and then I go home? And you responded with, that's one idea. And so you recognize that I said something. You recognize it as an idea. And whether you liked it or not at that time.
I really wasn't sure. It was a little bit of a resistance to it because it's like the gas and
But I appreciated that you and I was like, okay, yeah, you're right. That's an idea. And that was how I shared it, as something to think about. And I shared it.
I did good.
And so I shared it in a text message so that you could have time to ponder it. And then when I came home later, we could have a discussion about it. And so that's that, giving that pause, not feeling like you have to have an answer right away. And
It's also part of the problem solving, not making judgment on somebody's idea.
so we've given you quite a bit to think about here today. What's your feeling? How are you responding to your feelings? Are you reacting? Are you recognizing your feelings? Are you accepting? Are you allowing yourself and your children or your loved ones, your parents, are you allowing them to have their feelings?
Yeah, that's one of the things and I'm going to say this probably for men more than women, but we grow up many times being taught not to trust our feelings.
Be strong.
Be strong. Yeah. And what I really try to teach and put out there is, to me, being strong is feeling all your feelings, managing them, like you said, when you feel angry, or putting a time limit to it, not letting yourself, and doing it appropriately, but still being able to feel all of them. If you feel sad and you're at the office and crying probably wouldn't fit into the situation, allow yourself to feel it though, in the background.
You need to step away if you
Yeah.
need to. I did that not too long ago. I was at a group event and I just took a little walk off by myself so I could let those tears out. I was feeling really sad and I wanted to allow myself that opportunity to feel that.
So it's for you, anyone out there that has trouble feeling their feelings, I'm going to ask you just to start working on the opportunity to start feeling feelings, the chance of feeling those feelings.
It can be helpful to have a list. You can have a bunch of emojis. You can have just a list of feelings as a way of kind of scanning. Okay, what am I? When you're so lost in it, you don't even know what you're feeling. So, and it's great to have that for kids. I've seen little refrigerator magnets. Today I'm feeling. To pick out what you're feeling, having different faces or emojis or pictures. There's some great books about there. There's how are you peeling?
Yeah, that was a good book.
Children's book. So, allowing that, and what you're doing, your example is just such a powerful teacher, and not doing it for that sole purpose, but really meaning with what you're doing, because our kids are learning from us even when we don't want them to be.
Even when we might consider the things we do as mistakes, they really are more of an example, helping to teach your kids how not to do that thing.
You get react, and then you wait a minute, I overreacted there. Let's try again. I've said that numerous times in my parenting journey of 26 plus years. So, and if you want to learn more about tapping, go to Focused Healthy Family. Don's got videos that you can look up. You can reach out to him. Does sessions via Zoom.
Well, I also wanted to mention we have on our site free family tapping guide. I have an individual one. I have one for families, and now I even have one for teachers. And it's tapping, talking, and more, because it's not just about tapping. It talks about grounding. It talks about how you communicate. There's a lot to these guides. I just refurbished them and cleaned them up, and they're back up on the site. You can find them under our resources, and they're free. So take advantage of that.
It's all at focusedhealthyfamily.com.
And that's a podcast for today. We hope that you will share it with somebody that you think that this information will help, another parent maybe. You can find out more about us by looking us up on Facebook under Focused Healthy Family, Instagram. We have a blog. We have, of course, the podcast can be found on the site too. And you can find out about our workshops that we do, all different types of workshops. And also our Tuesday tips. Every Tuesday we do it via podcast, a short little podcast with another effective tip for parents. But you can also get it by email. And again, you can go to the site to get it that way. That's our podcast, and we thank you for being here. And remember, how you speak to your children today shapes their future and yours.